Greetings. I have a tarot spread that I wanted to share with you. I'm trying to get it up in time. It's for Beltane. It's a special reading out of the Bonfire Tarot that I've been working with this month. Some of you might have seen me do the the Enlightener spread, the 8-card Enlightener spread several weeks ago. This is, I almost overlooked. This is a spread I almost completely overlooked because it's a 3-card spread. It's actually a past, present, and future 3-card spread. So I really don't even have to show you a picture. I can show you a picture if you want to see it in the book, right here. The present card is card number 1 in the center. And it represents spring. And the past card over here is number 2 on the left. And that represents winter, the past. And the future card is number 3, summer. Okay? And it's very easily overlooked because, we do past, present, future all the time. 3-card spreads or 3-card spreads, blah, blah, blah. I'm not to diminish a 3-card spread. I do them from time to time, not that often. I don't find they give me usually very much information. I like a little more information. But that's one of the reasons I really like this one. And I want to share what the author has to say about the past, present, and future cards in the spread. There's a little description of what each card position means. And that's what I found absolutely fascinating, and I really was excited to do this spread I wanted to share today. Okay, the first card, the card in the center, and I'm going to, as soon as I read through this, I'm going to turn the camera around so you can actually see I did a sample spread, and I'm going to show you that spread and show you what and talk to you about the outcome, show you how I read it. And but I wanted to have the descriptions of each position of the card first before we look at the cards. Okay, card position 1 represents the spring, and it's read at this time of the year. Remember, we are in spring, of course. We're in the present, but we're just at an early part of the spring, right? So the energy of a card residing on this spot may be exaggerated to a high intensity, which may threaten to become overwhelming and burn you up. You are asked to let this happen. Allow it to become big and penetrate all aspects of your life. This well-developed energy may ignite a fresh vision while burning away old grief, cleansing, and allowing energy to flow undisturbed. Remember I told you if you hadn't seen the video, those of you who are just watching this video, I did not see the other reading I did. The Bonfire Tarot is very much about the bonfire or the bonfire traditionally burned by the ancient Celts at Beltane, which is the fire festival, and it is about the fire that the hearth fire being the heart of everyone's home, and they would not have survived the winter without fire. You use it to cook, but you use it for warmth. You use it for light. And this period of time we're speaking of, fire is the only method of having light. So it represents really all of life to you in those dark, cold months. And so they had a ceremony at Beltane, a big festival actually, where they would save up things from the course of the year, from the winter, whatever. Bones might be from animals that they had eaten, and maybe old clothes or old tools or whatever they had. And at Beltane time, they would go out and build a community, a big bonfire, a bonfire they called it, and they would throw all those things in it. And I also want to add that their hearth fires were extinguished before this festival, the fires in their home that had been burning steadily. They were extinguished, and everyone went into this, to this fire, and they ceremoniously burned. They sometimes passed some of their animals through the fire, etc. But it was a big thing, and then everyone took light from that fire back to their homes to reignite their own hearth fires. It was a very cleansing time. It was a time to cleanse. And the last tarot reading that we did was about that bonfire, about what message comes from the bonfire, about what is consumed in the fire, what is left in the ashes, and what is reflected or taken away or fed by the bonfire later. So that was a really neat thing. Well, this is also very neat with just the 3 cards. Okay, so we just talked about the present, and the present again. If I can just remind you again what I just said, so now maybe that it's in perspective, it makes a little more sense. The energy at the present is very strong energy. Okay, and it asks you. It might even be an exaggerated energy that you're feeling right now. And allowing that energy to grow to a high intensity, rather than trying to work your way through it, or we get those kind of messages most of the time. To let the feeling of that energy consume you. Okay, let it happen. Allow it to become big, that energy, and penetrate all aspects of your life. This well-developed energy may ignite a fresh vision while burning away some of the old grief. So that bonfire that happened in the festival at Beltane is happening in your life right now. And think about what is happening in our lives right now, with everybody being on, most people still are on a shelter in place. We're quarantined. We have this vicious virus threatening people's lives. I mean, this is a very severe time, and people are isolated and alone, and not with coworkers, not with families, not with loved ones, not with friends. And it's a big, most of us now here in California, we've been under this quarantine for over a month now, about, I guess, maybe 6 weeks. And, that's been a long 6 weeks for a lot of people, and it's been very telling, and a lot of feelings that are happening at this time. A lot of people getting in touch with a lot of their feelings. So this is I think this spread is very timely in a lot of ways. So anyway, that's a little bit interesting. Rather than just trying to understand what feelings or what energies are present, normally when our lives, we're in everyday lives, the busyness of our lives, we might be able to notice not always what is present. We asked the tarot to maybe give us a picture of what's going on in our lives that we aren't able to see because we are so busy with so many things. So I find this a real interesting twist on this present card in this spread, that it would be not an exclamation, it's not an explanation of what is happening, but a looking at what is happening and allowing that to burn through our lives, to consume us, to feel the energy of it and see what happens from it. Okay. The second card is in position 2, represents the winter, or what has just been passed, or what is passing. For some people it is just passing. For us it's pretty much past, but it's the winter. And the card placed here, it says, will contain the chills that may be trying to creep into spring. Reflect upon the winter and what it was like. What cold shadows are best left melting away, and what are the brighter lessons to carry with you? I also love this very much. It's very timely in today, because a lot of people are saying that since we have been having to do things in a different way, we've had to give up a lot of material things, and people aren't going to movies, and people aren't getting their hair colored, and people aren't going to massages and out to dinner, and maybe going on their vacations that they had planned, or some people are even missing out on their weddings. A lot of things that haven't been happening, we've been pulling in. We can't have normal get-togethers with our families. We're doing birthdays and celebrations over Zoom in our family, and daily day check-ins with Marco Polo on app on our iPhones. So that life that we had before this spring, that life that we had is very much in the past. It is, a lot of it is gone from us right now. But we might still have carried some baggage in from that. People are saying now we are now our life after, from today on, when we do start getting back to whatever is normal, there's going to be a new normal. It's not going to be the old normal. It's going to be a new normal. We're going to be a little bit different, I think, in a lot of ways. Coming out of this, at least I hope so. I hope as the earth is healing, if anything, we're letting the earth heal itself. Maybe we're going to notice enough of a difference to pay more attention to what we're doing to hurt the earth. Getting a little better emphasis in our life under what's really important and what's not important. Taking some of the emphasis off of some of the material things that we are wrapped up in, etc. So anyway, it talks about the shadows that are best left to be melted away in that winter of our lives, whatever that passes. Some of that stuff, what is best just left behind. And as that time tries to creep into us, to leave it in the past. And then again in card 3, then finally in card 3, it talks about the summer and that which might be important to take into the remainder of the year. The card here will suggest a fiery message of how that spring energy might best be applied and realized. What might we actually manage to accomplish or achieve from that ignited passion, and what might be the method or vessel from this materialization? Well, I love that because so many of us are learning how to do new things. A lot of us are gardening for the first time, or cooking meals for our family, for something we haven't done in years and years. Or some people are, playing. My daughter just reported she did a jigsaw puzzle. She had a jigsaw puzzle she got out and put together. Hadn't done that in years and years and years, probably since she was a young girl. Just spending time, with loved ones however you can, or doing creative projects, or catching up on reading, and learning to play a musical instrument. A lot of things are coming out of this in a very positive way. They're going to color that's something that we can carry with us in the future that we find are really important. Also, this care we need to take with our health, care that we need, and responsibility we need to take with keeping ourselves healthy and our family healthy. Okay, I don't want to do a lecture. It's not meant to be a lecture, but I thought it's a very timely spread. And so I wanted to give you a chance to see how it came out for me, and in time so you can do your own for Beltane. So I'm going to turn the camera around here, and I'm going to show you my 3 cards and talk to you a little bit about what I think that means. Okay, stay tuned. I don't know, if any of you saw my last video, you might be very curious to see that the card represented here, number 1, this is the number 1 card, the 8 of Cups, which is representing the energy of the present time, which may be threatening to overwhelm and burn me up. This is the card I'm supposed to allow it to happen, allow it to penetrate all aspects of my life, and give me a kind of fresh perspective. Well, here we have the 8 of Cups, and if you watched my last video on the Enlightenment Tarot, you will see that the 8 of Cups was the outcome card in the Bonfire 8 card Enlightener. That was the card that illustrated what will perhaps come out of the bonfire, and that was about this and remember this, it was my Enlightener spread, the reading that I did for myself. Go back and look at that video if you haven't, but it talks about walking away from something that is painful, something, the feeling that I wanted to avoid future hurt. I was, contemplating whether to go back and heal a wound with an old friend. A little bit gun shy about it. I didn't want to dig up old memories, etc. So I was a little bit worried. It talked about walking away from painful memories. But also, I don't know I can't remember how detailed I was in my situation, But also, before we went into this isolation of quarantine, I had been sort of self-isolating already, pulling away from some of my public um, commitments, really spending a lot more time at home and on our home and on our life here with our pets and our garden and our house, and trying to catch up. We had been so overwhelmed by so many things in a very, very, very demanding, very busy lifestyle that I really felt the need to isolate in a way. And this I thought was a very timely card to have come up here in the present. In the present, here's the Eight of Cups. He's turning his back on things that in the past were probably very nourishing. You know, we talk about the cup of water or the cup of life, or here maybe wine, even more nourishing. On the water, you know, looking for something new to fill up. You know, the filling up of these cups was not enough to keep the person in the card, satisfied. So looking in a new direction. So that kind of a feeling I thought was very interesting to show up here in the present time. Specifically then, we're talking about a time where this is penetrating all aspects of my life. It is, because not only was I self-isolating, now I'm sort of in a situation of forced isolation. I've been in for the last 6 weeks where I wasn't able to really go out, and other people weren't either. So I was able, I think, when that happened, to be able to actually use it for healing, allowing that feeling to consume me in little ways, just as the reading suggests, and perhaps use my time rather than just as a pulling away, a turning my back, using my time to fill up these cups, using my time looking for ways to fill up the cups again so that they will be more fulfilling to me. I think that's a really, the chosen solitude became, of course, an enforced solitude, which became a chosen solitude, because I am one of the ones who has really enjoyed, in a way, this forced solitude. Because I don't feel bad that I'm left out of things, because there's really nothing for me to be left out of. So it's kind of the easy way out in a way. But it's also, I find, you know, at this time, so many people it's divided how people react to a situation like this. Some people are thriving and doing all kinds of new things and, you know, making sense out of their life once more, while other people are very depressed and just really not coping very well. And I'm happy to say that I am one of the people that I'm really thriving. We're doing our garden, we're doing all kinds of things in the house, and I'm just getting my head on my shoulders. I'm really getting myself together in this situation. So I thought that was a pretty decent portrayal of the situation of my present. Okay. The second card here, a card on the left, the Six of Wands, is representing the winter, what is past. The card was is things that might want to be creeping into spring, or reflecting maybe on what the winter was like. What things are best to left melting away, and what lessons to carry. Again, we're talking about lessons melting away and things that are being carried. Here we see the Six of Wands. I hope you're seeing this card well. He's on a horse here, and this is depicting the huntsman, maybe, and the huntsman returning from his time in the forest, and he is bloodied, but he's alive, and he's clean, and he's unharmed. He does have his eyes closed, it says in the description, but so he's seen with his third eye. He's reached a stage of maturity where he's no longer seeking praise or seeking some kind of reward, that he's actually receiving that praise or receiving some kind of something positive in his life. He's got a moment of stability. This is a good time in his life. And again, this is sort of what he's brought from this winter carried through, this feeling of, yes, it was hard. It was really hard. And I had to go through that transition that the winter brought of isolating myself and where I was forcing myself into isolation, which was really difficult for me to do. But as a result, this has been very positive. So I'm taking the positiveness of this isolation forward with me. Now, this, of course, the card does guard against being too complacent and thinking, oh, everything's fine now, because this is something that we continually have to guard against, this feeling of complacency. But that seeking, that feeling that I have been having for so long, that I was seeking approval by I don't know who, is all of a sudden really kind of left me, that I now approve of myself. And that's it's a liberating feeling, very liberating feeling. So that's a very nice card for me. And then finally we have the Strength card in the future. The Strength card, of course, is not speaking of the physical strength like the Chariot speaks of. It speaks of more of mind over matter. In the description, it talks about mind over matter, having faith, trusting in yourself, about being in balance, coping with our everyday stress and emotions. And this is a big one for me. I've mentioned before that I'm a triple Cancer. So I feel my way through life. I experience my way through life with my emotions, and I've always have. And right now, I am really in a much calmer place. I don't have the triggers that I used to have. I'm reacting in a much calmer way, and that is that attitude that I wish to take forward with me. What I wish to take into the summer. That not reacting with emotion, but at reacting feeling the accomplishments of what I have achieved when I gave into my passions and my desires, and the accomplishments that led me to, and sort of feeling the excitement that brings, rather than always in that period again of seeking, just like we see here in the Six of Wands. Beyond the seeking, I'm not seeking it anymore. Now I'm trusting in it. I'm coping with it, okay? Which I found really cool. The Strength is not about reacting in an emotional way, but maintaining the balance that, of my emotions, keeping them in check, because I'm relaxed. Now I'm more relaxed. I'm much more relaxed. I don't have all these outside influences at work on me. So these cards were kind of real. That was a kind of cute little reading. It was very informative, very interesting. But then what I did next will totally maybe blow you away. It kind of blew me away. And what I did was, since these cards have been, I took this reading like 2 weeks ago or so, maybe even so, about the 9th of April, which was like a month into our isolation. And I did this reading, and I thought, well, I'm coming up, Beltane is coming up, in the next week, so I'm much closer to the energy of Beltane, so maybe I will read these again and see what happens. And I usually do not do that, but in this case, I did do this, and I really was blown away by what results I got. What happened to me is the Eight of Cups, which was my present card on April the 9th, became my past card. Which I thought, well, that is so cool. That is just absolutely so very cool, isn't it? Okay. What does it mean as my past card? Let's look at that first before I show you the next cards. The Eight of Cups as my past card is telling me what is best left behind and what is best to carry with me. It is helping me make the decision and saying, do not return to the before. Do not return to the before. Turn your back on whatever came in the past. What is past is past. Those feelings of excuse me, uncertainty and fear and excuse me, and worry and anxiety and all of those things which I was really afraid to leave behind me. What happened as a result? What happened as a result? Only positive things happened as a result. Leave what is behind. Okay? Reflect upon it, learn from it, but move along. What do we want to be the lessons that we carry with me? What do I want to carry? I want to carry the lesson of knowing when to walk away. Knowing when to walk away. My life was telling me it's time to walk away from whatever is going on in your life right now. And that was all of the anxiety, all of the stress, all of the worry about what people were thinking of me or whether I was going to let people down or not. All of my decisions were made on an emotional level. And all of a sudden, I had to turn my back and walk away. And it turned out to be a really good thing. Not that I'm walking away from people or things, I don't mean that. I'm talking about the motivation, things that motivated me during the day. What I did during the day, all were dependent on my emotions of how I was reacting with other people, with stressful situations, etc., and not at all about what was best for me or what I truly desired. Okay, so that is what I need to carry with me throughout this. Okay. Now, what is the present card? The new present that came into my life. If this Eight of Cups moved into my past, what moved into my present? And that is the Empress. The Empress moving in, and I love this card. It's so beautiful. Look at her. Isn't she glorious? And of course, the Empress is about the message coming from this interpretation of the Empress is go with the flow and enjoy simple pleasures. I am invited as the guest of the Empress when this card comes up to employ my emotion when we consider matters thrown by life. Okay, checking in with my emotions, not letting my emotions direct me, not reacting out of anger or reacting out of fear or reacting out of worry, but how connected with my emotions. How do I feel when I make a decision? How do I feel? Does it make me happy? Do I feel love? Do I feel anger? If I feel anger, I'm probably doing the wrong thing because I'm probably reacting in the wrong place, right? Do I feel love? And I have to say, the decision I made, if we're going to go back to that other reading, this is not about that other reading, but, any big decision that I've made recently in my life, and that was a pretty big decision for me, whether it appears to be or not, it wasn't a big decision for me to commit to follow through with that decision, to get in touch with people that I had been lost touch with for so long. That was coming out of a good place. It was coming out of a place of, love, of caring, of it wasn't about, there was no anger in that decision. There was no anger, and that's what I was feeling. Am I going to regret this? There was no feeling of regret. It was only a feeling of caring and leaving the past behind and walking through. So this being the present, this Empress was really a very cool card to come into my present, giving me a fresh vision while burning away the old and cleansing and allowing that energy to flow through me uninhibited. And I really love that. This is a really lovely card. And this sort of really does represent where I am at this time in my life. Okay? And finally, the last card that I got, this was with the latest rendition of the reading, of the Beltane reading, was instead of the Strength card, this was really most interesting of all to me. Here comes revisiting the Five of Wands. If you would see that old reading that I did a week ago or 2 weeks ago, however it was, the Five of Wands was talking about this game. It went back to this childhood game, and it was saying that the more players there are in the game and more strings, that the strings just become entangled and nobody ever wins. So game playing is just absolutely not, this is not a matter of a time for game playing. This is a time to learn from mistakes, to take things seriously, and employ the life lessons no matter how small they are. And I love that idea because we're all getting in touch with our some memories from our, we're doing simple things like people are baking cookies, people are picking flowers, people are starting gardens, people are putting together a jigsaw puzzle, people are, just spending a Sunday afternoon on Zoom with their family, people are reading books. They're slowing down. People are doing simple things again, and they're looking at what's important. Well, this is a good time for me because this is a time, and this is saying carrying into the summer what must be important. Remaining, the lessons that I am learning at this time must remain. Okay? Whatever I want to accomplish or achieve from what is coming out of this time, I have to remember the lessons that I'm learning right now. And I thought that was so fantastic when we talk about even little lessons, because I just did a thing with my garden. I'm going to show you. This is kind of interesting. I just did this today, actually. Wanted to show you. I was like in a panic about my garden because we've had cold weather, and it has delayed us getting our garden started, and we are so dependent on our garden. And I was really worried, and I was trying to start everything from seeds and rush, and I was having trouble getting seeds because even the seed places online, some of my favorite places where they sell organic seeds and things that I want, the heirloom vegetables, they were running out of seeds, and it was really difficult. So I got them in. I've been playing this catch-up game, and all of a sudden I got two things. Well, here I had to do things like my watermelon, my cantaloupes, some other squashes, some pumpkins, some things that I had not gotten to yet. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, a lot of these seeds were saved instead of getting seeds from a commercial venue, I'm getting them these are saved from my garden from a couple years ago. And I was like, how do I even know these are good seeds? And then I was reminded of a method that we used to do when I taught second grade, and I do it in kindergarten and first grade and all the schools. Your kids probably have done it if you have kids, or you might remember from your childhood, where we take a wet paper towel and we put it in a plastic bag and we lay the seeds on top of that paper towel. And I just did this today. So they're not doing anything. But what's going to happen is if these seeds are viable, they're going to sprout. And if they sprout, we're going to see a little sprout coming from them. And if they sprout, then I will plant the seeds. And I will know that these are good seeds. I'm not going to waste my time and go through all the problem of, trying to use up my potting soil and my lights and my heating mat and everything else, trying to get seeds to sprout that aren't even any good. So I want to make sure these are still good. And so I do this. So this is one of those little lessons. We learned this in kindergarten or second grade or something. And, but it still applies today. We need to remember our lessons and take them with us. And no matter how small. Because especially, it really applies to tarot, because tarot, yes, minor arcana. Remember what I always say about the minor arcana? The minor arcana are just those everyday things of life. Not a big consequence. It's not like the Tower card or the Death card or the Lover's card or, the Moon card or the major arcana, which are major things happening to you. These are the little things. But isn't it the little things, I say all the time, that really make us or break us? It's the little things. And it's the little things that particularly for me, for somebody who reacts emotionally, in the past really has reacted emotionally for so many things. It's those little things that have affected me. So it's really cool to say, to get the message from this reading, to remember all the life lessons, even the small ones, even those small life lessons, that they're all important. This is a childhood game, but this has a lot to teach us. Okay? Learn from your mistakes. Employ your life lessons no matter how small. And I thought that was a really good thing to take with me into winter, into when the summer through the rest of the year. Okay. What the direction the rest of my year will go is going to depend 100% on how I approach it, what I take through what I have learned and carry with me into the rest of the year. Okay? What will I manage to accomplish or achieve from the passion that I have developed right now? And what will be the vessel, what will be in that vessel that I choose to carry with me? Good reading. I thought that was good. Again, it was personal, kind of personal, but I thought it would be, I wanted to show you a real way to, what I would do. If I was going to read for myself, this is how I would do it. So I hope it helps. I love to see your comments. Okay, so there you have it. I don't know if it helped or hurt. I found it very interesting. I don't normally, when I do a reading, I lay out some cards. I don't normally redo the reading. I only did it, like I said, because it had been 2 weeks. We're closer now to Beltane than when I did it. And I just was curious. I was curious as to how, if at all, the energies would change, and wasn't it interesting what happened? So, again, that's not something I expect you to do unless you choose to. But again, it's just another lesson in how cards really do relate to each other, and how cards, even if you're just pulling one card a day, like I do in my bullet journal, one card every day, just to familiarize myself with the card and just check out a little bit of energy. I keep track of what the card is because it's so interesting how one card, the energy from one card keeps reoccurring for a period of time. That's really how I have a repeat card no matter how I shuffle. I get it, I think that really shows you how much accuracy we have to get from something like a tarot reading. At least that's my take. Okay, well, I didn't want to make it long. It's so hard because there's a lot of things to consider. But anyway, I hope this was interesting. And I found it very interesting, this author's insight into this 3-card spread, Beltane, this happiness Beltane. This one of my favorite. It's such a favorite Sabbath for so many people. So I was excited to get this new 3-card spread to use at this time. So anyway, thank you for watching. As always, I'm Rebecca, and I send you blessings.